Well, good afternoon, everyone, and we are targeting the violence here on our Facebook Live. I'm Kym Anderson. We've got a great show today. My guest is Robert Kennedy, CEO with the Boys and Girls Club here in South Alabama, and we're going to get right to it, Robert. We know that we've done a story. We did a story here at the station a couple weeks ago on the closing of the Optimist Club, and there's some things that we want to talk about, some things we want to clarify as well. One is the Optimist Club is one of the oldest Boys and Girls Club. Why is it closing?
So the Optimist Club is located in the community center that is commensurate with the R.V. Taylor housing community. And so, as everyone knows, HUD, the Housing and Urban Development, has decided not to continue to invest capital dollars to maintain physical structures. They've come to the conclusion that it's more economical for them to issue vouchers. So ultimately, they're not putting any more money into that facility, and as a result of that, that facility is going to close.
Okay.
So because the facility is closing, we knew that at some point in time, we were going to have to find a new home. And when it came to determining what the date was for the closure, that was established because it's the end of the fiscal year.
Okay.
And so that's the reason why we made that decision, and that's the reason why we chose that date.
How many kids attended the Optimist Club?
Now, this is actually interesting. So currently, there are 35 members of the Optimist branch that are actually enrolled in the Boys and Girls Club services there. 2 years ago, there were 200 members.
Oh, wow.
1 year ago, there was 90 members.
So as the kids are moving out, the numbers are dropping.
That is correct. And that actually has implications for us on a number of different levels. When it comes to our funding sources, one of the funding sources we had was from the Housing Authority, and as the number of kids decreased, the cost associated with running that facility was the same, but the budgetary dollars that we were receiving from them decreased as well. And so we have always known that at a certain point in time, it was just not going to be economically viable for us to continue to operate in that particular location. However, because I know this is going to be your next question, is we actually have a commitment to continue to provide services to all 35 of those children, albeit they'll be in some different locations. And in addition to that, our intention is to retain all the members of the staff. So the staff will have opportunities at other locations in our portfolio to continue working with Boys and Girls Clubs if they choose to do so.
Okay, so we know that there's other Boys and Girls Club around the area where there's not going to be an issue with transportation to bus those kids there, because that was another thing. A lot of people were assuming that all the Boys and Girls Clubs close to the downtown area serving kids in the inner city were going to close down.
No, that's not the case at all. The only club that is currently scheduled to close is the Optimist branch, and it's for the reasons that I described. Even over the past week or so, some of the information has become public. There's a letter of intent for Housing and Urban Development to sell that parcel to the Mobile Airport Authority. And they're going to end up kind of expanding their footprint in that geographical area. So think of it as terms of becoming a bunch of warehouses, for lack of a better term. So one of the things we were able to do, and this is something that was pre-planned, was we started a pilot program in partnership with the City of Mobile Parks and Recreation Department. And that allows us to occupy a wing of the Harmon Thomas Community Center.
Okay.
And for individuals who may not be familiar, that is about 5 minutes from the current location of the Optimist branch. In addition, 2 of the feeder schools for the Optimist branch were Williamson Middle School and George Hall Elementary School. Well, now kids can walk from there to the Harmon facility. They don't necessarily have to receive transportation the way they would have had to receive it to the Optimist branch. So we're very thankful to the City of Mobile that we were able to initially do the pilot program, which started as May, and then to make that pilot program permanent.
What about other kids who attend the Harmon Center? Will they be allowed to kind of transition or become members of the Boys and Girls Club? Because you're going to get more kids there now.
Yes, so we know that of the 35 kids that are currently at the Optimist branch, an additional 25 will be moving to Harmon, and so that will bring our count to a total of 50. Again, at this point, we're focused on elementary school age and middle school age children. The wonderful thing about the City of Mobile Parks and Recreations is that the children today are not charged any fee to come into the facility and to use, the gymnasium, the community lab, et cetera, et cetera. Historically, from a Boys and Girls Club standpoint, we have charged a registration fee, but thanks to the willing contributions of the City of Mobile and Mobile County, we will not be charging any children who choose to join the Boys and Girls Club programming at that facility. It will be no cost to them.
Okay, well, good. Now, you talk about us targeting elementary and middle school kids. What's going on with our high school kids?
Sure.
Do they have any options?
Sure. There are 10 high school kids who are attending the Optimist branch right now, and we are absolutely committed to providing them with programming. We're still working out exactly where that's going to occur, but one of the things that we've seen through this process that we are very positive on is that our partners in the youth development movement, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Big Brothers Big Sisters, YMCA, we've been having conversations with all of them, and at the end of the day, they're all our kids because they're all community kids, and we are committed to making sure that we continue to provide them with programming. Still working out details on exactly where that's going to occur, but we will, without a doubt, continue to have those 10 kids enrolled in Boys and Girls Club programming, and we will figure out a way to make sure they get access to that program.
Now let's talk about the Boys and Girls program in itself, because we knew when we were growing up in the 70s, 80s, 90s, it was very big to be a part of the Boys and Girls Club. It kind of kept you on track. You did after school programs or work during the summer. You always had summer camps and different things. To those parents or parents now who are new to it, is it some of the same programs? Because here we have issues, not just, well, let me just not say here, around the country, with kids engaging in more violent acts and more crime and getting into trouble. And people are saying because they have nothing to do, but there are programs for our kids. Absolutely.
So we tend to think about our Boys and Girls Club programs in two buckets. We have our clubs that operate during the academic year, and we think of those as after-school programs. And we currently have 5 locations in Mobile County where we offer those services. Harmon and Optimist will essentially trade off, so that will keep us at the same total number. And then during the summer, we actually expand. And that's when we go into, call it, the more remote areas of the county. So we're in Wilmer, we're in Mount Vernon, we're in Centronel, we were in Pritchard, and we have one last opportunity that we haven't executed yet, but that will be in Biola Battery. And so all the wonderful things that we're doing there in the academic year, now during the summer, we're able to expand and provide those all-day services as opposed to just after-school programming.
Which is great. And you mentioned that Optimist Club is closing because that area is closing. And we know with the vouchers, that more people are moving to outlying areas, West Mobile, to different apartments there, to Sims, to whatever. So are they upping their numbers because of that? Are you seeing more numbers going to those different clubs?
We have not actually seen that in our data yet. Just kind of intuitively, it makes sense that we would see it at some point in time, but we have not seen it currently.
But we know that at one time, sometime or another, it's going to happen, and we want to push our kids to do something like that because there's so many different programs that y'all have that people don't even really know about.
The wonderful thing about the Boys and Girls Club program as a option in the youth development movement is that it is written into our contracts with the City of Mobile, Mobile County, and the federal dollars that we receive through either one of those two entities, that although some of our facilities have a registration fee, that registration fee during the academic year is $25, and then there are some additional fees associated with transportation, but it is in our contract that we will not turn anyone away for their inability to pay. So all they have to do is let us know that they're having challenges, and we will continue to provide those services. And that's one of the things that I often find I'm saying when I'm having conversations with my CEO peers in the state of Alabama and even throughout the Southeast region, is that we are really benefiting from our public-private partnership. And we literally talk with each other and try to figure out how to solve these problems together. And part of the reason why our fees are relatively modest compared to some other areas in the state and in the country is because of the relationship that we have with our public officials.
Okay. Now, at one time, though, you were looking at building a new, or getting a new building for the Optimist Club, and we were talking earlier, and you were saying that money has kind of been divided up to other places because it didn't happen.
Yeah, one of the questions that came out in the initial article, it referenced $456,000 that was allotted through the American Rescue Plan that would allow the Boys and Girls Club to purchase the Fulton Road Baptist Church, which is on DIP. And that was what would have been designated as the new Optimist Club. Well, that was all things that happened before I got hired a little over a year ago. So once I received that information, I started to conduct due diligence, and we came to discover that that building was not actually for sale. Okay. And so because it wasn't for sale, the thing with federal money is it's very specific. It's like you can use this money to purchase this building at this price. We had to go back and essentially try to figure out what other options were available to us. We looked at the option of possibly putting a down payment like you would do when you build a house from scratch. And at the time when we started that process, it was about $100 a square foot to build something. That $100 became $200 a square foot as those costs went out. But the most important thing that we learned in that process was if you're going to build a $2 million building and use $200,000 of federal money, you have to have all $2 million on the front end. And we don't have that right now. But two very beneficial things came out of going through that process. Mm-hmm. The first was that we were able to resubmit that proposal, and it was approved and signed by Randall Dewitt, representing the county commission. And it basically allows us to use that $456,000 to sustain our other buildings. So think about HVAC units, floors, walls, just any of that construction level stuff that would be hard for us to purchase absent some sort of capital plan. We have got a couple of years of runway because we were able to get those dollars reapportioned. And the second thing that came out of that that's beneficial, that is also public, was that put us on the City of Mobile's radar screen. And when we started talking in partnership about the prospect of being something more than just a Boys and Girls Club, we started talking about partnering with a senior center. We started talking about partnering with a food pantry. That allowed the City of Mobile to take the lead, and they actually allotted about $500,000 to design a new community center in the DIP community. And so that is a classic win-win, because now we as Boys and Girls Club don't have to figure out how to come up with all the money alone. The City of Mobile has a programmatic partner that they've been working with, as we have illustrated with our Harmon Thomas Community Center project. And while it doesn't get us to September 30th, it actually sets us up to have something much better in the future that everybody in the community can be proud of.
So there's a plan in place. People don't have to worry that their kids are just going to be roaming the streets and not have anything to do.
Not at all.
That they will continue the program just at a different location.
Yes. And the 10 kids, the 10 high school age kids, we are absolutely committed to continuing to provide them with programming. We still have an outstanding action item to figure out the location where that will occur.
Any statistics before we wrap up? And I know I'm putting you on the spot last minute of how much better kids do if they get into the Boys and Girls program compared to not being in the program at all?
So I don't want to misquote the actual statistics, but we had a study that was done at the national level, and it showed that the reason why a Boys and Girls Club works is a concept we call safe, structured supervision. And so intuitively, it just makes sense. Anytime one of those young people are with a member of our staff is a time when they're not out somewhere potentially getting involved in some foolishness. And so that's where everything from academic performance to not getting in trouble, we find that our club members consistently operate at a much higher level than kids who do not have that same safe structured supervision. And so that's what we're continuing to demonstrate a commitment to. And we will continue to provide as long as the citizens of the area, the city, county, and state are partnering with us to do so.
All right. Robert Kennedy, CEO of the Boys and Girls Club. It was a pleasure having you on Targeting the Violence Today. Always is to see you.
Always a pleasure. And thank you to you and to the station and to this platform for giving us the opportunity to communicate with the public, to say what is really going on. We know that there is a lot of passion when it comes to this particular topic, especially given the history of the Optimist Club and the community. But just having this forum and being able to get the correct information out to the public is something we really do appreciate. So thank you as well.
You are so welcome, because when it comes to the kids, we all have a passion. We want to make sure that they are done right, because they are our future.
Yes.
And that they have every opportunity in place to help them be successful. So we thank you for that as well.
Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us. Again, if you need information on the Boys and Girls Club, you can contact them directly, and we'll have this segment also on our website. We'll see you next week.